polity and governance. This is the topic which we have to discuss. Important areas in Indian polity. First thing, the word federalism is not there in the Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution, in the entire Indian Constitution, we don't find the word federalism. First thing, Article 1 says India that is Bharat shall be a union of states. Article 1 says India that is Bharat shall be a union of states. The word federalism is not used in the Indian Constitution. Second thing, you have to follow Article 2 and 3 particularly. Article 2, 3 are very important. Formation of states, admission of new states. Article 3, alteration of the boundaries of the states, formation of states. These two articles are very important. Next, for you, right to privacy, Puttaswamy versus Union of India. Right to privacy, Puttaswamy versus Union of India judgment. Right to privacy, Puttaswamy versus Union of India judgment. And Article 19. Article 19 is very important for exam. Particularly Article 19(1)(a), freedom of speech and expression. Article 19(1)(a), freedom of speech and expression. The restrictions on Article 19(1)(a) is important. Freedom of speech and expression is not absolute. Freedom of speech and expression is not absolute. There are restrictions on right to freedom of speech and expression. There are restrictions on right to freedom of speech and expression. Restrictions are sovereignty, integrity of India, security of the state, friendly relations with the foreign states, decency, morality, incitement of an offence, contempt of court, defamation, etc. These are the restrictions on freedom of speech and expression. Article 19(1)(a). Article 19(1)(a), restrictions on freedom of speech and expression. You may get a question. Which fundamental rights are for citizens and which fundamental rights are for non-citizens? All fundamental rights are for citizens, but only few fundamental rights are available to non-citizens. All fundamental rights are for citizens, but only few fundamental rights are available to non-citizens. The fundamental rights which are available to non-citizens, Article 14, right to equality. Article 21, right to life. Certain fundamental rights are available to non-citizens, not all fundamental rights. For example, Article 15 is not available to non-citizens. Article 16 is not available to non-citizens. For example, can a non-citizen write UPSC exam? No. Only citizen of India can write. Article 16 is not available to non-citizens. Article 19 is not available to non-citizens. So only some fundamental rights are available to non-citizens, not all. You should know that. You should know that. And recent Supreme Court judgments on Uniform Civil Code, Puttaswamy, all these things are important. And Article 32, writ petitions are important. You should know writ petitions. And generally, in direct to principles, Article 44 to 51 are important. In prelims, in direct to principles, Article 44 to Article 51 is important. Article 44, Uniform Civil Code. Article 44, uniform. See, remember, 4, same right? Uniform. Remember like this. 4 means uniform. Uniform means Uniform Civil Code. 4 means uniform. Uniform means Uniform Civil Code. 45, 0 to 6 years early childhood care. Early childhood care, 0 to 6 years. 46, state should promote and protect SC/ST welfare and weaker sections welfare. Article 46, SC/ST welfare. Article 47, abolition of liquor, standard of living, public health, etc. Abolition of liquor comes under Article 47. Standard of living comes under Article 47. Public health comes under Article 47. Article 48. See, recently there was an issue on cow slaughter, banning on cow slaughter. There is an issue on cow slaughter, banning on cow slaughter. Article 48, protection of agriculture and animal husbandry. Article 48, protection of agriculture and animal husbandry. Article 48A, this is very important article. Protection of environment, forest and wildlife. 48 capital A, protection of environment, forest and wildlife. Article 48 capital A, protection of environment, forest and wildlife. Article 49, protection of monuments and places of national importance. Protection of monuments and places of national importance. Article 49. Article 50, separation of judiciary from executive. Article 50, separation of judiciary from executive. Article 51, maintenance and protection and maintenance of international peace and security. Article 51, protection and maintenance of international promotion of international peace and security. So, Article 44 to Article 51 is important for prelims. If you can remember, there is a heavy chance of getting a question from this area. Article 44 to Article 51, direct to principles. As you all know, fundamental rights are enforceable in court of law. Direct to principles are not enforceable in court of law. Fundamental rights are enforceable in court of law and direct to principles are not enforceable in court of law. Article 44 to Article 51 is very important and you have to remember while going to the exam. And fundamental duties. Fundamental duties are only for citizens. They were added to the Constitution by 42nd Amendment 1976. They were added to the Constitution by 42nd Amendment 1976. There are 11 fundamental duties. The 11th fundamental duty is added by 86th Constitutional Amendment 2002. The 11th fundamental duty is added by 86th Constitutional Amendment 2002. In fundamental duties, you may get a question. The question goes like this. Which one of the following below is not a fundamental duty? Which one of the following below is not a fundamental duty? A. Duty to vote. B. Duty to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. C. Duty to pay tax. D. Duty to have compassion over living creatures. A and C are wrong. We don't have duty to pay tax. We don't have duty to vote. A and C are wrong. So to detect what are wrong answers, you should know all 11 fundamental duties. I'll give a simple thing, just remember. The subject we are reading is Constitution. First duty is to abide by the Constitution and to respect its ideals and institutions. To abide by the Constitution and to respect its ideals and institutions. Second duty is to cherish the noble ideals which inspired our freedom struggle. What are the noble ideals which inspired our freedom struggle? Peace, non-violence, ahimsa, vani. All these things are noble ideals which inspired our freedom struggle. 3. To uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. That is our primemost duty, to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. Next, to defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so. All the time you have to defend the country. Next, to promote brotherhood, fraternity, transcending religious, linguistic, regional or sectional diversities, and to renounce the practices derogatory to the dignity of women. Nirbhaya rape, recent Asifa rape. So you should know that we have a fundamental duty to renounce the practices derogatory to the dignity of women. To renounce the practices derogatory to the dignity of women. To protect and improve natural environment, forests, lakes, wildlife, and to have compassion over living creatures. Jallikattu, Kambala, Kodi Pandalu, cockfights. So you may get a question. To have compassion over living creatures, is it your fundamental duty? Yes. It is our fundamental duty to have compassion over living creatures. Apart from that, to develop scientific temper, humanism, spirit of inquiry and reform. Recently, we have Kalburgi murder, we have Dabolkar murder, and we have various murders. In Karnataka, we have Gauri Lankesh murder. All these murders shows that if somebody questions anything, we are killing them. So to develop scientific temper, spirit of inquiry, reform and rationalism, to safeguard public property and to abjure violence, to develop the composite culture, to protect our composite culture, and to develop scientific temper, and more importantly, we have to raise the levels of our nation and our achievements to the greatest level. So all these things are fundamental duties. If you could read once, you can easily write a proper answer in prelims. Are fundamental duties enforceable? No. Fundamental duties as such are not enforceable. Fundamental duties as such are not enforceable in any court of law. If a fundamental right is violated, we can go to court. If we violate our fundamental duty, government cannot as such go to the court. Apart from that, you may get 2-3 questions. Constitution Adoption Day, 26th November. Constitution Adoption Day is 26th November. Remember the date. Preamble Adoption Day, 26th November 1949. Preamble Adoption Day, 26th November 1949. How many times preamble got amended? Only once. How many times preamble got amended? Only once. Socialism, secularism and integrity were added. The 3 words that were added to the preamble was socialism, secularism and integrity. The 3 words. And they were added by 42nd Amendment 1976. Preamble was not a part of Constitution. In 1960 it was told in Berubari. But in 1973 it was told in Keshavanda Bharati that preamble was a part of Constitution. Can the preamble be amended? Yes, preamble can be amended. But the basic structure in the preamble cannot be amended. The final cause is the entire preamble contains basic things. So we can add something to the preamble. We cannot delete anything from the preamble. We can add something to the preamble, but we cannot delete anything from the preamble. This is preamble, fundamental rights, directive principles and fundamental duties. These are the core areas which you should remember, because this is very important. And you may get a question. Do you have the fundamental? Do you have anything in Article 23? If the state want you to do compulsory military service, can the state ask? Yes. In which article? Article 23 clause 2. If the state asks you to do compulsory military service, you have to do. State can ask. That will not come under forced labor. Article 23 clause 2. That's called conscription. State can ask 23 clause 2 to do military service. It can ask any citizen. So that will not come under any forced labor. So these are the areas which you have to focus. Apart from that, there is one more area called from which constitution we have borrowed which. What are the things which are borrowed from various constitutions? For example, fundamental rights, American Constitution. Judicial review, American Constitution. Independence of judiciary, American Constitution. Rule of law, British Constitution. Cabinet from British Constitution. Parliamentary privileges, British Constitution. Civil services, British Constitution. Parliamentary model, British Constitution. Governor's post, Government of India Act 1935. Speaker's post, Government of India Act 1935. All these things. Apart from that, Canadian Constitution. Federation with a strong center. Residuary powers lying with the center. In Canada also residuary powers lies with the center. Australian Constitution. Interstate trade commerce intercourse. Advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. French Constitution. Liberty, equality, fraternity. And nomination of members to Rajya Sabha. South African Constitution. All these things are very, very important. If you read in this perspective, the first part of polity will be done. If you can read in this perspective, the first part of polity will be done. Okay.